$500, a bicycle, and a great amount of entrepreneurial spirit. This was the exact thing this company was founded on by Emmanuel Stepado. Exactly 60 years later, we're looking at a $1 billion company, a logistic department that's increasingly big, and the exact same amount of entrepreneurial spirit. We are Team CBS, consisting of Frederik, Johanna, Joachim, and myself, Simon. And we're here today to present to you the critical question, or address the critical question of how you can continue your growth. Our answer to that is to step forward and jump out. Step forward into the home market and jump out into emerging markets. Given this presentation and analysis, we can expect an 8.2% increase in CAGR in revenue by 2017 and fulfilling the vision of a presence in the emerging markets. Now, putting these two strategic initiatives into a context of time and importance, we'll start out by telling you about the continuity of your efficient focus. We will use this R&D of efficiency into developing new products for the market, home market, and it's strategically important. We're going to jump out into the market by identifying future potential acquisitions in order to expand your global presence. Now, let's first have a look at the foundation of this company. What we're looking at, when we're looking at you, we're seeing an efficient and low-cost production, which means that you're the #1 dairy processor in Canada and 3rd largest within the US region. This is based on the entrepreneurial expertise you've gained throughout the years, and we're going to use that as well in the future. Secondly, growing through acquisitions has been a main driver of your growth. This is led by an export of capital, manpower, and brain power, along with your strong financial capabilities and thorough analysis. You have secured growth into North American regions and South American regions, as well as global presence. But what we're going to focus on is to expand into the Latin American market, and which we will elaborate on later. But looking at your domestic market, we're looking at a stagnating growth, which means that action is needed on your home front. You are being confronted by a stagnating market, which means that you must react to keep growing. But how exactly should you keep growing in the domestic market? We've identified 3 different key things to focus on. First one up is to increase the market by penetration, and that means looking at how to supply. However, in the market, the supply is adjusted by quotas, which is led by the Canadian Dairy Commission, which held down the quotas, which means this is not a good idea. Secondly, is by increasing your cost focus. This is what you're good at, and this is what we believe you should continue to do. But in order to step forward, you should improve your marketing and innovation in terms of value-added products within the dairy industry. Exactly on how you should expand your product portfolio within the value-added products, my colleague Johanna will take you more into depth with.
Thank you. So, over the last years, we've seen that the Canadians are increasingly interested in healthy products and in maintaining a healthy lifestyle. So they're increasingly interested in high-quality products with high nutritional value. Another trend we've seen is that that consumers in general have more meals throughout the day, which means they increase their snacking. They're especially interested in snacking high-protein foods. So based on this, we've identified 3 main customer segments to focus on. So first of all, we have the lifestyles of health and sustainability, the so-called LOHAs, who are focused on lifestyle surrounding environment, fitness, and health. Then we have the consumers on the go, who are interested in having something to eat while they're going from one place to another. And thirdly, we have the women and children, women who are generally interested in, or more interested than others in having a healthy body image and in general a healthy lifestyle, and parents who become increasingly focused on having a healthy diet for their children. So, as you can see behind me, you have already a very high market share on your local Canadian market. But nevertheless, your degree of healthy product portfolio is lagging behind. Your competitors have already made a move. They've already introduced certain products which are focused on health benefits. So this is your chance to introduce a healthy product portfolio and thereby increasing your market share and to differentiate yourself from the competition. And this is why we introduced to you today your new healthy snack brand, Fit to Go. Fit to Go consists of products which are healthy and have high nutritional value. They're easy to consume on the go. They're in line with your already existing product lines, Milk to Go and Let's Go. And the muesli for the yogurt and can be produced by the bakery division you already have. So what should you focus on? We said four major main products that you should focus on. So first of all, the little snacks. We have a yogurt and a cottage cheese snack. A yogurt which has high protein content and a muesli on top. The cottage cheese snack which has dried fruit and nuts on top, and both of them have a little spoon inside the package so that consumers can actually eat it while they're on the go. Second of all, you can introduce two drinks, one drinkable yogurt and one chocolate milk, both high in vitamin D, vitamin C, and protein. So this obviously raises the question of how you can address the consumers, how you can distribute your products, and how you can promote these new products. So in terms of distribution, we've identified three major distribution channels you can use to reach out to your three major customer segments. So first of all, to reach to the children and their parents, you can distribute through the canteens of elementary schools and high schools. Second of all, to reach to the LOHA group, who are very concerned about health and fitness, you can distribute your products through fitness centers such as the Good Life Fitness Center in Canada. Third of all, to distribute your products to the consumers on the go, you should focus on convenience stores such as 7-Eleven and Couche-Tard. So how can you create awareness of these products? So you can have a local campaign to engage students in elementary schools and high schools in the 5 biggest cities, advertise in fitness centers to create awareness among the LOHAs, and thirdly, increase your advertisements and samples in stores to reach out to the on-the-go consumers. So from stepping forward to jumping out, we will now take you through the second initiative.
Thank you. Jumping out into new markets. That means identifying future potentials and expand global presence. Today, you're present in 40 countries in terms of export, and you manufacture in 3 nations, namely Argentina, the United States, and Canada. As my colleague Simon mentioned earlier though, the whole market here in Canada is experiencing a slowing growth. And that is why we recommend, aligned with your own growth strategy, to expand into an emerging market. We identified 4 major markets to expand into, that being China, India, Brazil, and Russia. And we evaluated each of these in terms of market size, growth, but also on parameters such as market knowledge and domestic supply. What we recommend, and based on this analysis, we believe you should expand into Brazil. This is due to a high market, a big market size, a fairly high market growth, but perhaps more importantly, knowledge about the market through your acquisition in Argentina. Also, the infrastructure in the country of Brazil is relatively better than in China, for instance China or India. This obviously raises the question of how do we approach with this. We made an analysis based on product category and growth strategies. This means cheese versus milk and yogurt, and organic growth versus joint venture or acquisition. Based on our analysis and your past history, we believe focusing on your core competencies within cheese and acquisition is the way to approach the Brazilian market. Looking into the Brazilian market, we looked at several different companies to acquire. And what we found was one specific company caught our attention. The company you see here is Caterpillar. The company is founded in 1911 by the Italian immigrant Mario Silvestrini. Mario came to Brazil, built his company on entrepreneurial spirit and hard work, just like you did with Sapaturo here in Montreal. So, in many ways, your companies share a similar success story. This company is present in the Brazilian market, as well as the United States market, where you're also present. And we believe that the synergies between your company and Caterpillar has a great potential. And that is why we believe you should acquire this company. How do we approach this acquisition? We valued the company to be worth just around $265 million US. This is a fairly big acquisition, but not as big as other acquisitions you've done. We approached these acquisitions by partly going with cash, but mostly debt, like you did with your 2013 Morningstar acquisition. Once acquired, we believe you should implement your best practices in this company like you do best. This means implement your financial, operational, and IT platforms in the company by sending your Canadian team and work with the company in the beginning. On the long term, though, we believe focusing on having locally workers on the factories is the way to go. So, important to notice here is also to draw experience from your Argentina, because this is where the Brazilian market and this acquisition stands out. We can draw experience in the South American market that we did while we're already present. This acquisition fits very well with what we do and where we want to be. This means values, competencies, and corporate objectives. Values, in terms of we're still 70% entrepreneurs. Competencies is that in terms of that we make milk processing first, and that we're good at acquiring companies. And in terms of corporate objectives, that what we want to do is expand into emerging markets, such as Brazilian market, and this is why this acquisition is has high potential. Taking this acquisition into a more strategic view, my colleague will now elaborate you through this.
So, why should you be present in the Brazilian market? What should you obtain? We see you as cost entrepreneurs. This meaning that you are cost leaders in the markets you are present in. We believe it's important for you, in order to succeed in the Brazilian market, that you obtain cost leadership in the Brazilian market. This should be done in the same way that you did in Argentina with your position of Molfino. Second of all, we believe that in order to get this cost leadership position and in-depth market knowledge, it's important for you to have a goal. So we put up a goal that in 5 years, you should have a return on your investment in that year of 12%. If you can achieve that, we believe that is a measurement to say you secured in being cost efficient in this market. This brings us to the third point, where you have been acquired market knowledge and you are cost leaders in the market, and then you can start expanding in the Brazilian market. Being a leader. This is similar to the strategy you actually used in the US market, where you acquired a small company in 1988, but now you're the third biggest company in this market. So, looking at the overall financials for the company of these initiatives we have suggested for the Brazilian market and the Canadian market, we have looked at the financials, as you can see here, in revenue and net earnings. over a period to 2017. We believe that you can actually achieve a CAGR of 8.2% in this period for your revenues and increase your net earnings by 43% in the same period. Important to notice is that the main driver in this growth is that you acquired Morningstar a year ago, but the actions we suggest in Brazil and on the Canadian market contribute to this growth significantly as well. So, looking at the implementation of what you should do, we believe it's important for you to straight away contact your financial advisor so you can start the process of acquiring Khachapuri. And furthermore, it's important you start talking to your development department to develop the products in Fit to Go. This brings us to that in 6 months we believe you will be in that what we call the key period. This is where you determine whether or not these strategies should be a success. As your COO points out, it's not the decisions you make, but how you choose to react on your decisions that determines whether or not you will be successful. You can be successful by acting cleverly in this key period where you are launching the product on the Canadian market, the Fit to Go, and furthermore you start implementing your systems in the Brazilian market. We have also looked at some risk for this strategy we are supposing, and the biggest one being that Khachapuri is you're not able to acquire it. We believe that you could mitigate this risk by looking into other companies and maybe acquire another company that we have looked upon. Furthermore, that your the Fit to Go brand will not be as successful as we project is also a risk, but we believe that you should then emphasize even more on your marketing effort, and worst case, you could look into other products in the Canadian market such as whey protein. So, to wrap up, we believe that you should step forward and jump out. Step forward in the Canadian market, utilizing on your core competence within cost leadership, and to add a value-added product to your portfolio so you can experience growth in the Canadian market. And second of all, you should jump out into the Brazilian market, utilizing on your expertise in acquiring and cost leadership in order to secure growth in the Brazilian market and for your future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We now open the floor to any questions from the judges.
Maybe I'll start. Just a quick question. In your slide number, the one with the Fit to Go, you costed some items. How did you end up getting those costs in there? How do you think they're profitable costs? How did you build that cost? For you to convince us that these costs are basically prices are feasible.
So you mean the price that consumers are willing to pay
for
for the
example,
product?
Fit to Go, you said $350.
Yeah.
Fit to Go light drink $250, etc., etc. How did you come up with those costs?
So
basically prices.
Yeah. So basically what we did was to benchmark it against other products such as your milk to go product, which you pay around $250 for the product. But we also, as you can see, we did a sensitivity analysis here, looking at the impact of different products, being, for example, the Fit to Go Sport. Here we have the price on this axis, $2 up to $3, and the presentation in the market, this market being the chocolate milk market in the Canadian market, to see the impact from each product. So, but to come back to your question about the specific price, we benchmarked it against the current prices on the market.
Current prices, but how do you know, like, if we do it, it's going to be profitable for us?
How
you benchmark it to existing other products in the market, but how does they have the manufacturing processes in place? They have everything to make it happen. How are you going to make sure we do it the same and it will be profitable for us at those prices? We don't have the infrastructure for it, right?
Yeah, you do already have the infrastructure for it, and you already have a brand that produces, for example, So you would not need to, for example, have a new plant.
But you took into consideration the operating cost of this? Because manufacturing plants are manufacturing certain products, but now you're assembling products. It requires different types of operations on the floor, and therefore injecting certain capital expenditure for you to do this. It has cost, has operational cost as well. That's my question. How did you do that analysis to understand that within that price that you're proposing for us to go and sell it, it will be profitable?
Surely you have some cost in terms of the production. You need to change some production facilities, but as my colleague pointed out, that you're more or less producing all these ingredients, so the only thing you should change is the package, more or less. But we did set aside some cost for the development of the products.
Thank you.
One of the main strategies to go to Brazil, what if Caterpillar does, as you know, we don't want to overpay our positions. What happens if they don't want to sell to us? What's our fallback position?
Well, what we identified is several opportunities in the Brazilian market, and Caterpillar is what we believe is to be the right one. If they do not want to be acquired, we looked into others such as the Palenque, which also has strong presence in the Brazilian market, and we also have similar other alternatives as well. So we have a list of companies.
And what's the market share of Caterpillar?
The market share is around 10%.
And how much do you figure we have to pay for that?
265 million.
Okay, so
That's
what's
what
the
we
right to do if you know it's a bigger company?
Excuse me? Oh, for this one?
Yeah, but then
We have looked in, this one, we haven't looked at an exact price for this, but since it's a bigger company, will be in the range of 200 to 400 million US dollars.
What's the multiple that you use to arrive to 265? No. Yes.
So basically what we did is we looked at your last two acquisitions in the market. You bought a company called Morningstar last year, and you acquired just recently an Australian company. And we saw that what you basically are paying for these two companies is $1 for every $1 revenue they have. So given that it's a strategic important, these have been strategic important acquisitions, and we believe Caterpillar is also a strategic important company, we believe that you will pay around the same amount for so $1 for every $1 they have in revenue.
If I may add to that, as you can see here on the slide, this is what you previously acquired, and what you see here is the sales price, the sales they have compared to the price you paid, and then the ratio. And we believe 100% ratio between what the Caterpillar has as sales and the price we will pay for them is reasonable.
So, what is the EBITDA for Caterpillar? What is their EBITDA?
What their EBITDA is?
Yeah.
We have looked into their financial reports for them, but what we have found is only articles about what they have. They don't have.
Okay, so the information wasn't available. That's fair. So you wanted to purchase them by debt, right? You wanted
Yes.
to. Okay. So how are you going to structure the deal? What is your proposal if you want to do it by debt?
The proposal is that right now
So
you
you're
do.
going to buy their assets?
Yeah, buy their assets. Yes.
Okay. And you're buying all their shares?
Yeah.
Okay.
Full
So
takeover.
you're going to take over all the debts as well. How much debts they have?
Yeah.
How much debts?
As we said, we could only find the revenue and the position in the market. There was not this information was not available.
And that's where we're going from now to look into that.
One of the things that we're used to doing is exporting our brain power, as you've said. We have a presence in South America where they speak Spanish, and you're suggesting we go into Brazil where they speak a different language. Have you considered how we might handle that difference?
So clearly there is some differences, but there's also some similarities, and you actually already seen it. You're actually exporting into the Brazilian market. So you have already some knowledge about the Brazilian market.
At the same time, sorry, we acknowledge that these markets are not completely similar. We're just going to draw on the experience that we've gained from the previous acquisitions.
Now please, talking a little about Europe, we haven't even touched on that one. And I all year. It's a huge dairy market. We have been talking about why we completely ignored it.
Okay, so what you can see in Europe is that it's a highly competitive market. It has fierce competition, and there are large firms that actually dominate all markets in every country. So when you look at the graph, you can see that the percentage of firms and the percentage of turnover. And if you look into, for example, that 80% of the firms only create 20% or 10% of the turnover. This is especially a big problem in the market where you've been before in Germany, because there it is the problem that a lot of large companies have the total market share, and the market in general is very saturated. So there's not a lot of movement going on. So in general, the supply exceeds the demand, which means that there are too many competitors on the market already. So the German dairy producers, they actually start looking outwards and looking into Asia and looking into other European countries and Eastern Europe. And also in general, especially German consumers are very focused on price and low-cost producers, and they don't stick to one brand specifically, but look for the cheapest option they can get wherever they are. So we figured out that it's not a very profitable market to be in for you in the future, but that you should more focus on the emerging markets like Brazil.
I get your first strategy, which is get into the health products and getting some whey kind of protein in there, etc., etc. But this is a complete different niche. Okay, it's a complete different type of product that you want to penetrate and you want to start developing. It requires a huge amount of marketing cost for you to start branding your products to do this. In addition to the fact that, you know, there's probably three major producers of those kind of products in the market right now, and all the sports and health industry, they're with them right now. How are you going to penetrate? I understand you have the capability to do it, but for you to sell Saputo as the new Ben Weider or the new EAS, how are you going to do this with how much money you think you're going to be spending in there for you to change the mentalities of people and start buying Saputo's products? This is a huge amount of marketing. How are you going to do this? How much do you think you're going to spend money on this? How much you budgeted for this? And is it feasible for Saputo to do it?
Well, okay, so we have looked at the possibilities of developing these products instead of acquiring already existing producer of these products. And what we've looked at is that going through 7-Eleven and school canteens and sports centers, we will have the amount of capital enough to go on hard on the 7-Eleven, school canteens and sports centers and invest heavily. And as your product, the amount of money the budget for it was accumulated to be around 28.5 million over 3 years.
Marketing costs?
Marketing costs.
28 million?
Yeah, exactly.
On 5 years?
Over a 3 year period.
Okay, the time is up for your presentation.